Welcome aboard, I'm Captain Wayne, and I'll be your host for this Ocean Navigator magazine Voyaging Tips video. Today's video I'm going to be talking about fender boards. Anybody who's done any cruising knows well, docking can always be an issue as you travel. Not only do you have to deal with current and winds just to get to the dock, even once you get tied to the dock, you then need to protect your boat from the dock. Some docks can be a little bit sketchy with nails, bolts, and other things protruding out, just waiting to put a nice gouge in the side of your boat. When tying up to floating docks, things are relatively easy. You just drop a couple of fenders over the side and you're good to go. But with fixed docks and docks with pilings, things are not always so easy. Add into that higher tidal ranges, winds, and currents, and things get a little bit trickier. With fixed docks and docks with pilings, a single fender usually doesn't work very well. If you drop the fender over vertically, a round fender on a round piling is not going to work. The fender is just going to slip off to the side. You can hang the fender horizontally, and this works sometimes. But if you have any sort of tidal range where you need to leave a little bit of slack in your lines, it's not likely that that fender is going to be long enough to always stay in contact with the piling. And it doesn't take a little bit of movement before the piling will push the fender out of the way. You can get over this by hanging a couple of fenders in a row to make for a longer string of fenders, but often the piling will push in between two fenders and you'll be back rubbing on the hull. The way to get around this is with the use of a fender board. A fender board is relatively simple. It's just a 3 to 4 foot long 2x6 or 2x8 that you hang over the side on top of two fenders hung vertically. This type of fender board, which is just a standard 2x6, has these rubber mounts that you can get for them, or rubber bumpers. These are good and they make for a quick and easy fender board. The problem is these are a little bit stiff and they're a little bit hard on the hull. I tend to prefer my regular fenders. Also, with these on there, they're a little bit difficult to store. My preferred fender board is this hardwood board, and as you can see, I've added some metal strips on it to protect the wood. The line goes through it so that there's no line to get caught or chafe on any parts of the dock. This is a great board. It's flat, it stows easily, and it actually doesn't look too bad. But you don't have to get fancy like this. Any pine board from a lumberyard will work just fine. Fender boards can also be very useful when you're tying up to bulkheads. Either metal or wooden bulkheads often have bolts and other things protruding from them. The fender boards will not only protect your boat, but they'll protect your fenders from damage as well. Using fender boards is relatively easy. Each fender board should have a line on each end. First, you hang a couple of fenders over the side vertically like you would if you were tying up to a floating dock. Then you put the fender board on top of these fenders. This essentially gives you one big fender. You want to keep the fenders inside of the end of the fender board a few inches so that it doesn't roll out from underneath the fender board. Fender boards can be a little bulky to store, but they tend to lay flat in the bottom of lockers. You can also tie them on deck. Fender boards are inexpensive insurance to protect your boat from dock damage. They're well worth having aboard. Every cruiser should have at least 2 fender boards aboard to use when needed. Well, that concludes this Ocean Navigator magazine's Voyaging Tips video. I hope you found it useful. If you have a voyaging tip you'd like to share with our readers, please let me know. Maybe I'll make a video out of it. Please check out Ocean Navigator magazine's YouTube channel for more voyaging tips and sailing videos. Also, be sure to check out Ocean Navigator magazine at your local newsstand and Ocean Navigator magazine online. Until next time, I'm Captain Wayne, wishing you fair winds and following seas. In these cases, all right, stop.